Hi there, thank you for joining me for today's Pilates Builder Workout. The exercises that we're going to do today are some of the most powerful moves in Pilates to really build up your core strength. So let's get started with a roll down. So I like to start with rolling down and really focusing on rolling down vertebrae by vertebrae, bend by bend in that spine. And so this is one that you could do anytime and set a timer and try to do it over the course of even a minute. We're going to start by finding a C curve in that lower back, right? So if you notice here, I'm curving, and particularly down at the base of the spine where those vertebrae are more compressed, you want to try to find that nice curve. Now with your arms for this roll down, you could have them extended out in front like this, or if you want, you could trace along your legs for additional support if you need there. So we're going to go into that C curve, and you're going to start trying to find each bend, one bend after the other. Now to keep yourself up and not from rolling all the way down, you got to engage and re-engage that deep inner core. How you can cue that is by engaging that pelvic floor. That'll cue that right away. I'm also pulling that belly button in towards the spine, going down vertebrae by vertebrae, really trying to feel each bend one at a time. Vertebrae by vertebrae. Engage and re-engage that deep inner core. Good. Gets easier to find each bend as you come down towards the upper back. All right, so from here, we're going to go right into our roll up. First, I'll give you a modified version, which even if you're used to doing the full version, if, for example, you're doing this in the morning and your back's a little bit tighter, you could always use this modified version to help with that tightness in the lower back to get through it. So you'll start by rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae, now starting at the top of that spine. And you're going to coordinate that by inhaling. So you start inhaling and rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae. Now, when you get to the point, which is what you know is going to be the most difficult point to get up into this, you're going to bend those knees and engage that pelvic floor to cue that deep inner core and start your exhale. All at the same time. And then you're going to come forward, and here you'll straighten those legs and reach as far as you can. And here you're going to exhale all that air out, pull that belly button in towards the spine, and then you're going to go back the other way, vertebrae by vertebrae. Same as before, you're going to bend those knees and start coming down vertebrae by vertebrae. And at the bottom, you'll straighten those knees as you bring it open. All right, so that's if you want to modify it. If not, you're going to inhale as you come up vertebrae by vertebrae at that hardest point. Engage that pelvic floor and start your exhale. Pull that belly button in towards the spine. Exhale all the air out now. Reach as far forward as you can as you're pulling that belly button in towards your spine. So creating like a stomach vacuum as you exhale that air out and reach as far forward as you can. Good. And then reverse it. Nice and controlled. Engage that core. Vertebrae by vertebrae. You roll it down. All right. Inhale. Engage. Start your exhale. Pull that belly button in. Exhale all that air out and reach as far forward as you can as you're pulling that belly button towards your spine. And reverse it. Good. And start again. Inhale. Engage, start your exhale. Pull that belly button in towards the spine. Reach forward. Exhale all that air out as you reach as far forward as you can and pull that belly button in towards the spine and reverse it. So as you're coming down, engage that pelvic floor to cue that deep inner core, rolling it down vertebrae by vertebrae. Again, inhale, engage, start your exhale, and reach it forward. So I do like to say with those arms, I do give two options. So one is you can keep those arms in line with your ears the whole time, which is the most difficult, right? So here, instead of reaching them forward, you're keeping them in line with those ears, right? And then here now, reach forward. Hold that belly button in as you exhale the air out and reach as far forward as you can. And then as you're coming down again, bring those arms up and keep them in line with those ears. Now, I do a little bit easier, but I do love the flow of it. It's reaching those arms. But you really got to make sure that you're not moving them forward in a momentum-driven way to try to get yourself over, right? You still want to use that core as the engine that's getting you up. So instead of going swinging those arms forward, right? It's really controlled. Engage that pelvic floor and start your exhale. Pull that belly button in, reach as far forward as you can. Exhale all that air out. Good. And reverse that. So depending on which you prefer. Now, if you are used to doing this one where you're reaching forward and you feel like you're ready to kick it up a notch, then you should definitely challenge yourself and bring those arms in line with the ears and do it from there. It's a little bit harder on that way up. Engage and exhale. Pull that belly button in and then reach it forward. Exhale all that air out. Good. And reverse. Very good. All right. Inhale, engage, and exhale. Reach it forward. Now, my purpose of this Pilates Builder, with the selection of exercises that I have chosen, is that you could do it daily, you know, for a few weeks and really notice an amazing change in that core strength. And it's really fun, the difference that you'll feel. And so there's that feeling of satisfaction when you can really see the change that it's making. Now, the other thing is with the roll up is that I often find people don't give this part of it enough focus. I want you to reach as far forward as you can and further each time. I want you to pull that belly button in towards the spine, and I want you to exhale all the air out. So beneficial for several reasons. Yes, flexibility. Also just those deep breaths and getting all that air out. That's something, how often do we breathe all the air out from our lungs? But the other thing is that part where you're reaching forward as far as you can and pulling that belly button in as far as you can, so in the opposite direction, that's really going to help that lower abdominal strength, you know, as well as pulling in those lower abdominals. So it's a good one. So don't feel like that part of the exercise is just, you know, this nice little stretchy bonus. It's not. It's just as important as all of it. Good. We're just going to do 3 more here. Inhale, engage, start your exhale, pull that belly button in. Exhale all the air out, reach as far forward as you can. And reverse that. Engage that pelvic floor to keep the deep inner core and roll it down vertebrae by vertebrae. 2 more. Inhale, engage, and exhale. Reach as far forward as you can. And reverse that. Good. With control. Great. And here's our last one. Inhale, engage, and exhale. Pull that belly button in. Reach those fingers as far forward as you can. Pull that belly button in as far as you can. Exhale all that air out. And reverse that. Engage and roll it down vertebrae by vertebrae with control. Really good. Okay, so now we're gonna bend those knees. I want you to bring those feet and knees together. And we're going to straighten our right leg. So knees are pinned together, right leg is straightened, arms overhead. Same mechanics we just did with that roll up, but we're going to reach over this extended leg, all right? And exhale all the air out there. Now with these, just depending on where your strength is, if you need on your way up and you feel like, oh, you're not gonna quite get there, then you can grab that leg to pull yourself all the way up and then do your reach and then come down with control, all right? So it's an inhale as you start to come up, vertebrae by vertebrae at that hardest point, engage that pelvic floor to cue the deep inner core. Start your exhale and reach as far as you can and pull that belly button and exhale that air out and then roll down with control. Very good. So we're going to do that again, but we're not going to come straight down. We're going to do a twist before we come down. So first go up straight. So inhale, engage, exhale. Now I want you to twist over that bent knee, twist back with control, and then engage that core and roll it down vertebrae by vertebrae. Very good. We're going to go straight again. No twist on this one. Inhale, engage that pelvic floor to cue the deep inner core. Start your exhale and reach towards that toe, pull that belly button in, exhale all that air out, and then roll down with control. Next one, we're gonna add the twist in again, but make sure it's separate. So first come up straight, inhale, engage, exhale, and then you're gonna twist over that bent knee, and then you're gonna twist back, and then with control, roll it down vertebrae by vertebrae. One more each way, first just straight, no twist. Inhale, engage, exhale, and pull that belly button, exhale all that air out, and roll it down vertebrae by vertebrae. And the last one with the twist, but make sure it's separate. Inhale, engage, exhale, and then twist over the bent knee, and then twist back, and then with control, roll it down vertebrae by vertebrae. Very good. All right, rest those legs for a moment, and then you're going to straighten the left leg. So knees are pinned together, straighten that left leg here. So first we're gonna roll up straight. Inhale, engage that pelvic floor, start your exhale, and reach over that toe, pull that belly button in, exhale all that air out, and then roll it down vertebrae by vertebrae. Good. Next time we're gonna add in that twist, okay? So inhale, engage, and exhale. Now twist over that bent knee, then twist back, and then roll down vertebrae by vertebrae with control. Going to do straight again, no twist. Inhale, engage, exhale. Reach over that toe, exhale all that air out, and then roll down vertebrae by vertebrae. Next with that twist, but make it separate. Inhale, engage, exhale, and then twist over that bent knee, and then twist back, and then roll down vertebrae by vertebrae. Good. One more each way, starting with straight only. Inhale, engage, exhale, and exhale all that air out, reach over that toe, and then come down vertebrae by vertebrae with control. And then last one, we're going to add in that twist again. Inhale, engage, exhale, straight, and then with control, twist over the bent knee, then twist back, and then roll it down vertebrae by vertebrae. Very good. You can bring that foot down and then pull those knees in, pull them in towards your chest for just a brief little break there. Good. Now we're going to place our palms of our hands just right on the floor beside our hips. And I want you to straighten both legs here. Now pay attention. So you might be bringing your legs up like this and your hamstrings are relaxed. So you've got to bend there. That's not straight. Part of the work here is actually straightening those legs. So straighten them, right? You'll feel that extra work. Of course, those hamstrings have to work to straighten here, those quads, and that core works to hold it. We're gonna actually do that straighten 4 times just to practice that. So relax and then engage that core and straighten the legs. Good, relax and then engage that core, straighten, nice and straight, and then relax. 2 more times, engage that core and straighten and relax. And then 1 more time, you're gonna engage that core and straighten those legs. Good. Pull those knees into your chest just for a brief break here. And then we're gonna go into our next exercise and we're gonna do it with straight legs. So I want you to try to hold the legs straight the whole time. Palms down beside your hips, straighten those legs. Now, if you look at where your toes are, I want you to imagine they're at the top of a volleyball. And then I want you to come and trace those toes around the volleyball. So you're gonna go to the left, about half a volleyball, circle it down around the bottom of the volleyball, come up along the right and back to the top. And then you're gonna go back down around and to the top. Okay, pull those knees into the chest for a second because I've got something a little bit long-winded here. So when we're gonna do that, I also want you to coordinate the breath. And so you're going to inhale as you start to come around the circle. And then as you're going to the top of the circle, I want you to exhale the air out. And as you're doing that, I want you pulling that belly button in towards the spine. It's also you're engaging that pelvic floor to cue that deep inner core. And then you go back around the same way, same thing's gonna happen. You're gonna inhale as you start to come around and then engage that pelvic floor to cue the deep inner core again. Start your exhale to come up and pulling that belly button in. So it's a lot of mechanics to train that body if you're not used to Pilates, so I wanted to take that break. So we're gonna come back up to that position, toes are at the top of the volleyball, and you're gonna circle it around, inhale, exhale to the top, and then circle it around the other way, exhale to the top, inhale, and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Pull that belly button in towards the spine and other way. Good, 1 more time each way. And last time here, top of the volleyball. Good, pull those knees in towards the chest. Now we're gonna go to the back to the top of the volleyball and it's gonna be the same. We're actually going to take our toes from the top of the volleyball and then just a volleyball distance, we're gonna drop them straight down. Just that, basically the width of a volleyball, right? And then back up. So the breathing with that is gonna be inhale as you drop that volleyball distance with the toes, and then engage that pelvic floor, pull the belly button in, exhale as you pull those toes back to the top of the volleyball. All right, so straighten those legs, really, really straight here. And so inhale as you drop those toes about the width of the volleyball, and then bring it back up. All right, inhale down, and then engage that pelvic floor to cue the deep inner core and pull the belly button in and exhale up. Drop and good. Drop and engage, bring it up. Drop, bring it up. Drop, nice straight legs. Don't let those legs bend. Good, 2 more. And last one here. Good, pull those knees into the chest for a brief break here. All right, now we're going to straighten those legs. I'm gonna give you 2 options with hands. So you could continue with the palms of your hands right beside your hips. If you're doing that, what I want you to pay attention to in that lower back is your arch. You want to maintain your natural arch, right? So everyone's different on that. Your natural arch might come off the floor, so it might not touch the floor, right? But I don't want it to go beyond that. Now, if you're struggling with that, or to be sure, the other thing you could do is actually push that lower back into the mat to prevent arching beyond your natural arch in that back, all right? Option 2 is going to be, you're going to create a triangle with your index fingers and your thumbs, and then center that triangle under that tailbone. Now, I still want you to follow the same cues and not arch that back beyond its natural curve, but this will make it a little bit easier for you to do that. All right, so make that choice. Your feet are together, legs are together. You're gonna pull the belly button in towards the spine. You're gonna engage that pelvic floor to cue the deep inner core as you start your exhale, and then you're gonna bring straight legs up to perpendicular to the floor. Now, I would like you to try to bring them in a little bit further, and then you're gonna engage and lower all the way to the ground with control, all right? So we're gonna do that 6 times. Engage that pelvic floor to cue the deep inner core, pull the belly button in, and exhale, bring it up, and then lower with control. Here's number 2, engage, pull belly button in and bring it up, nice straight legs, and then down with control. Number 3, pull the belly button in, engage that pelvic floor, bring those straight legs up, and then down with control. 3 more, engage, exhale, pulling that belly button in as well, and bring it down with control. Don't let it drop. 2 more. Pull belly button in, engage that pelvic floor to cue the deep inner core. Start your exhale and bring them up and lower with control. And last one, engage, belly button in, pull them up, and then lower with control. Very good. All right, so we're gonna bring it up now to sitting, and we're going to finish off, well, we'll actually finish off with a stretch, but first we're gonna do some leg circles. I will give you, these are super powerful, but you can only get there by doing them. Now, you could modified do knee circles to start. So I'm positioning myself, propping myself up with my arms behind me, like so. I'm not concerned with where your fingers are pointing, so go with what's comfortable here for you. You could come down to your elbows if you have any wrist sensitivities, all right? So keep that in mind. But importantly, whether you're on your elbows or here, I don't want you to sink at those shoulders, right? So no shrugging like this. I want that head extended, that neck nice and long, and chest lifted from the sternum, nice and strong. So if you're gonna go with knee circles, you're here, and I want you to think where your knees are at the top of the circle. You're gonna circle them down and around, come back up to the top of the circle, and then go back the other way to the top of the circle, all right? That's gonna be if you're doing knees. If you're going to follow along with me, we're gonna straighten our legs. Now, if you're super bendy and flexible, then your goal really is to and strong. This will be, if you've got strong enough abdominal and core muscles as well, you could point those toes straight up to the ceiling, all right? I'm not there, but definitely go there if you are there, all right? Chest lifted, belly button in. You're gonna straighten those legs. You're gonna circle them down and around, and then come back up to the top of the circle, then go back the other way, top of the circle. All right, before we go in, we're gonna do 3 each way, because it's super powerful. We don't have to do a lot of them, but I just want to give you the breath coordination. So you're going to, at the top with your knees or toes at the top, you're gonna start the circle. You're gonna inhale halfway around. And then to bring it back up, you're going to engage that pelvic floor to cue the deep inner core and start your exhale to bring it back up to the top. And then same, you go back the other way, inhale around, And then at the bottom half to bring back up. Start your exhale and engaging that pelvic floor to cue the deep inner core, okay? So knees or full legs, we're going to go 3 each way. So circle it down and around, bring it back up, go back the other way. Good, 2 more. We go down and around, bring it up, and then down the other way. Awesome, 1 more each way, down and around, bring it up, and then down and around, bring it up. Very good. All right, so we're just gonna stretch this out. I want you to extend those legs, and we're gonna reach those arms forward. Start here by just reaching that chest forward. All right, and trying to go a bit further forward, so not rounding that back. Chest stays lifted from the sternum, and you're reaching forward to start. All right, and then reach a little bit further, and reach a little bit further. Good. Now I'm gonna let you round right over, and you can grab anywhere on your legs or feet and pull yourself down and relax it down there. Couple deep breaths. Deep breath in and nice exhale out. Very good. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you liked it, and I hope you try this one and try to build that strength, and let me know how it goes. These are, like I said, some of my favorite, most powerful movements for really gaining core strength when it comes to Pilates. So there it is. I hope you have a really great day, and I'll see you later. Thank you. Bye.